Welcome back to Second Nature. Today, we're going to talk about something that seems to pique everyone's curiosity when I mention it in conversation, and that is this specific idea of a content residency. And today I'm joined by Michelle Bates from The Outsiders. Michelle, welcome to Second Nature.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
This idea of the content residency absolutely blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's genius the second I heard. And I want to talk a lot about that. I think where we should probably start is just to give a little bit of a background on you and The Outsiders. And then we'll come around and talk about sort of how this content residency concept came to life and what you've been doing with it, because it's super exciting. And I feel like no matter what sport you're in or what part of the outdoor industry, there's something here for everybody. And I think that's what's going to make this so fun.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the Outsiders. How did this kind of come to be and give me a little bit of insight on what it is.
Yeah. So The Outsiders it started as a content agency a couple of years ago. I've had a very long, I'm not going to tell you how long, career in PR as a sports publicist. To give you a little hint, I helped launch the first digital sports channel in Australia. So that was my claim to fame back in the day. Let's not talk about how many years ago that was. So I've been around sport for a really long time. After that, I then worked across all the different major sporting codes in Australia and New Zealand. So I've always been around sport, PR, and then moving from PR into content. I really just love storytelling and everything that content has the power to do. So then we started Outsiders because we could see that PR was changing, and I wanted to evolve what we were doing with content as well, specifically for outdoors. And we could just see that we could do something a bit different where it was PR first. So you're creating this content that was really powerful storytelling, because all the journalists are following like social media, and they're picking up stories from social. So I wanted to get into that. And Outsiders was born, and it just kind of went from there. And now we're somehow doing content residencies.
Very cool. It seems to me that PR for a long time was a lot about kind of managing communications and specifically sort of putting out press releases. So it sounds like what you identified was like, there's a better way to communicate these company talking points out and to sort of demonstrate through story what the brands are doing. Yeah. And we are going to kind of take the reins instead of allowing just the media to craft their own version of the story. Does that feel right?
Well, I think that there's a place for it all. I don't think that that style of PR is redundant at all. I think it's more important than ever, actually, getting the communications foundation right, where the messaging going out is considered and controlled and crafted. Absolutely. I could just see that, so much is also coming from the stories that, athletes are putting out on their socials or brands are putting out on their socials. Like that a lot of the time, that's where these things are kind of gaining momentum, or, a journalist is just seeing something interesting that piques, especially the human interest stories or athletic feats, or just something different. So that's where it's also coming from. That's why I wanted to do deeper storytelling with the content and not just pretty pictures. Often media will go on a media for mill and not really know where the stories are going to come from until they're experiencing it. And you would know this best yourself as well.
Yeah, the content side of things, I feel like really is sort of the cutting edge of, the human emotion and experience and the storytelling side of things. I feel like sometimes the communication stuff almost feels downstream of, a product release or a moment that the company had or something like that. It feels like a different way to sort of communicate that out and to sort of take the reins a little bit and drive the story, create the story or something.
Yeah.
So this content residency comes along. Really, I want to know the origin of it. And I think we probably need to define it as well. But how did you get to this point where you're like, it's not enough to just like make one story. It's not enough to do one project. We need to like take a bigger view of this, really.
Yeah. I'm reacting that way because after our first one, it was way bigger than anticipated for our pilot. And it was a big moving beast, but a lot of learnings from it. So it actually came from trail running. So I'm a very average trail runner. I am like back of the pack. But I initially, came across, like thought about the idea based on the different trail races and the different, sports brands. They would get the house, they get the houses, they have all their athletes come in, they shoot a bunch of content around the major competitions. And I really loved that idea. But then it's just kind of toying with the idea of what if you had aligned brands come together? You're all talking to the same audiences anyway. What if there were brands that you could reach each other's audiences and create something that has this cross-pollination effect? And then with the idea of it also picking up media from there as well. And just working in lockstep with PR. So not saying PR is, not something that should be done. I'm just saying like it's just this whole other bucket that can be done to like further amplify it as well. And that's how the first residency idea came about. And we just decided to go for it and, managed to get Defender, like Land Rover New Zealand on board, and Helly Hansen, DB Journey, Nikon, and yeah, we had an amazing time.
That's incredible. You're speaking my language with the cross-pollination thing, because I think not only are you able to speak to a really wide audience and sort of reach beyond just that one vertical of maybe trail running, or in this case, ski and snowboard, but also, the lessons that all the individual brands bring to the table for those discussions. It's really interesting that you basically created this like multi-brand collaboration that everybody walked away pretty happy from, I've got to imagine.
Yeah. I remember we've only just sent some of the content, like the higher end content, out to Defender, and they were very, very happy.
That's awesome. So walk me through a little bit more of the details. So the first content residency you did was in New Zealand, and you brought those brands together. Is it a month-long content residency that you did down in Wanaka
we initially
area?
put it in for a month. One of the learnings after that was that we think 2 weeks would be good. We were actually going to do a 6-week one. And the idea with that was that, it's peak time for the, New Zealand athletes, like all the ski snow athletes, to be coming home and getting their training in and, hitting the season. So we wanted to capture that time. So that everyone's around and can come and get involved in the house and all the different activities we were doing. But we definitely think 2 weeks is a good amount of time. We all loved each other, but like it's, big days, lots of fun stuff. And so we think, just harder, faster, shorter.
How did you think about the content calendar for that window then? So are you focused in on just making like one hero piece of content about the house and everything that went into it? Are you thinking about like all these different storylines and deliverables for each one? I've got to imagine that each one of the partners probably had their own list of deliverables that they wanted to get out of it. I mean, that feels like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
I keep thinking about a Rubik's Cube. I felt like it was this huge Rubik's Cube that evolved and changed and is still evolving, to be honest with you. But I was really, the way that I positioned it when we went into it, because we didn't have a lot of lead time either, which affected things as far as, planning for big brands and their budgets, like the allocation. So we went into it just as an experiment. I said to everyone, this is what we're doing. This is the theory. It's a pilot. Jump in if you feel like. Everyone had transparency over the different brands involved, and there was a lot of trust instilled in me as far as making sure that there were no conflicts, which was a huge piece of work in itself, especially when we're talking about, we've got a car brand, we have, a drink brand, like an energy drink brand, we've got, apparel, all the rest of it. So to me, I really enjoyed figuring out what brands would work well together and where the audiences would fit. That was good. We didn't have a huge amount of deliverables, to be honest with you. Like, people were just happy to experiment, and I really applaud the brands that got involved that backed that. And what I found, because I had so many of these discussions in the lead up and over the last few months talking about the residency, was that there's definitely, I think, merit in having that approach to experiment and to innovate, especially when the environment is just changing so fast. Like, I don't know, I don't want to talk about AI, but like, there's so much moving so fast, and the budgets have to work really, really hard for ROI. And I think that experimenting is good to do, and everyone was really, really happy off the back end of it. And I think that one of the biggest learnings from that going in, that we didn't have huge amount of deliverables, was that we're not focused on creating content out the back end of it. It's like, how can you get these brands together, have a really good time, so that the content, if you're having a good time and all the athletes are having a good time, like, the content's going out whether you are trying to or not. Like, it's, everyone's putting it out on their socials, and they're going to have kind of different views of the experiences that are happening at the time. So that's our focus moving forward, is not creating loads and loads of content for use down the line. We're talking about in that moment, like, what's the cross-pollination happening with all the athletes, all the creatives, all the crew in that moment. And it drove huge reach. It was crazy.
You're basically like a curator of all of these elements, right? Yeah. Curator of good times. That's a LinkedIn job title if I've seen one. Yeah. I mean, that's it though, right? Like, you found the photographers and videographers, you found the space, you found the partners, you found the activities, and then you kind of run everybody through it and sort of let it happen organically. Yeah. So in that way, from a content calendar standpoint, like, you can't know what you're going to get. Like, you might end up getting something really crazy, or you might not,
Well, I think that the part I was hyper aware of was crew being, best in field. If you're investing in the right crew and having the right crew on board, and you put all the other ingredients together, it just happened. So, yeah.
Other than shortening up the window, is there, what would you call out as like another key learning of something that you might consider doing slightly different, or that you might have added to it, or just changed, or sort of the next time around? Because it seems like you got all these people together, you got the right brands, you got the right, crew, you got all these right pieces. The length of time may have, been more than you needed, but what other things would you be thinking about in terms of, moving it forward?
Yeah. So two things were, one, like, the first learning, which was more just practical really, was that the timing that we were trying to do strategically was around, competition time, like the peak times that kind of like the local elite athletes to the area were around. And so that, I think, like, if we can line it up around the competitions for whatever category we're doing. So for example, we're doing a mountain bike trail hike category in February, and we're lining that up around natural selection and Tarawera. So we're doing that, but what we'll do, we've adjusted timing that we're not doing too much in front of those dates. We're like letting athletes focus on what they're doing, and then making sure that we're there around at the event, but then we can get involved off the back end where they're, they've been through the comp, they're doing, they're up for more kind of creative content making that isn't, that part of it. So that's one of the learnings. But then also the biggest shift that I just didn't see coming was the tourism addition to it. So during the time that everyone was posting while we're there during the snow category, I wasn't prepared for the amount of inbound about the different experiences we were doing. It was wild. Like, so we had everyone go and do a bunch of different tourism activities in the area, which I was really passionate about, because I also, in working with outdoor brands, I also work with adventure tourism and tourism. I've done that for a long time now too. So I was really passionate about getting people out to explore the things that, you know, if they're in the area, like there's other things to do other than, you know, what TripAdvisor is necessarily saying to go and do. You know, the hidden things that when you go to an area, especially, you know, as an athlete or outdoors person, there's other stuff. There's lots of good stuff. So I wanted to, you know, uncover like that part as well for the area. And so we went and did these tourism experiences. So we did like horse trekking, we did a glacier landing with like a ski plane and a heli, which was incredible. I'm actually really scared of flying. And I was like in the back of this like ski plane with all crew like wrapped around. I was so tight and they're like filming out the sides. And I'm like I'm scared on a Qantas flight sometimes. And so to be in the back of this little ski plane, I was like, wow. This is the most amazing experience though. And we did snowmoto too. And so all the athletes are just so psyched to go and do something that, you know, was outside of what they're normally doing as well. Like that, you know, and just having an incredible time. So I didn't realize in us filming and everyone putting that out, like the inbound would just be honestly off its head. Just wanting to know, oh, where is this? Like you're making sure you're tagging it all. So then we decided to make it bookable. So moving forward, so we've built out this travel section on our site that we now have somewhere to point people to go and book these things. So the brands, like we're shooting the content with the brands and the athletes, and audiences can actually then just click straight through to the experiences that they can then save and go and book for themselves.
I mean, you curated a pretty epic trip, and the idea behind making this content is for it to be aspirational. So like if you're going to open the door, like let's let everybody walk through. Right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And then, you know, the more and more I've thought about it, I'm like, wait, that just makes sense to me just to connect it up.
I like on your website, it says, these are the trips we actually take. These are the things we did.
I'm glad that one landed. Thank you.
Click here. You can do the same stuff you saw there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like so much, you can just go and do this, and you can pick what you want. Like we're not trying to sell a package or anything. It's just like, these are all the things that we did. Here's the links to it. Like you can.
Yeah. I mean, what a full circle thing to be like inspired by it. But then also like, if you want this for yourself, like it's curated, it's ready. We did the work of finding this stuff. And why not make it available to
verified by us is like a really good time. Now, don't forget to go and buy the jacket on the way. Right.
Is there an option here? I'm scrolling on the site. Can I also get the kit from Helly Hansen here? That is really cool. It feels like now as you sort of develop more and more of these content residencies, it makes sense that you'd be looking at, okay, what's the 2-week trips that somebody could take, or the 1-week trip that somebody could take, and they can tick the boxes for sort of the different experiences and stuff. And does that limit you, do you think? I mean, like some of the stuff you want to show, like, should it be like a once in a lifetime experience for like a top athlete, or are you trying to make all this stuff as accessible as possible?
I mean, I think that there's some opinions and views definitely that, you know, it should just be the athlete, you know, it's, you know, keep it aspirational, but power to the people.
Yeah.
Let us in.
Let them do the thing. It's so cool. I love this idea of just creating this experience, curating it with all the right people, both in front of and behind the camera, with the right people supporting it. And I feel like we could probably have a galaxy brain at some point during this, during this pod, just talking about different ways that this might manifest. But where I really want to go next with this is the upcoming one that you have for February. So you did the winter one, which is cool. We've got friends that are snowboarders and skiers, but you're talking to a mountain biker here. Yeah. And I want to know all about this February one that you got coming up, because I mean, that same area is heaven on earth for anybody on two wheels, and also trail runners too. Yeah. You know, we've got plenty of those people listening as well, but I mean, let's hear all about February, because this looks equally epic and aspirational as a trip.
Thank you. Well, you're joining us, which I'm really, really excited about. So So yeah, February is happening in New Zealand. We're same area, so we're going to be around Wanaka. Same concept. We're going to be showing the different areas that like of the trips that we take ourselves. I think what we've landed on with doing 2 different residencies in each year for the different regions that we're going to be focusing on. So we've done the snow category there, and now we're going to do the mountain bike trail hike. Same format. It's going to be 2 weeks. We're going to do a bunch of different tourism activities as well, and just keep connecting the outdoor brands with athletes and creators. We've actually got some US and Canadian creators coming down as well, which I'm really pumped about. And we're looking at doing a collab with one. I can't say, we haven't announced the brands yet, but we're doing a collab with a running brand and one of the creators coming down from Canada. So that will be cool. So we're going to weave in like a bit of a community event. That will be cool on his theme, but we're working out the program at the moment, but the elements will still be there. We'll have a car brand, athletes, we'll do a bunch of different fun stuff.
Awesome.
And I'm looking to do your outdoor brand camp.
That would be amazing. One of the things I'm sort of looking at in the page for it too is sort of the distribution and reach that kind of comes along with this, because I think we've talked about it a little bit of the brands that you're working with and the athletes that you're working with and the content channels that kind of exist for those. But I think what also maybe we haven't talked about yet is the additional value that comes through that. So we've talked about, okay, all these people are coming in to like create this amazing content, but you're also doing work on the side to make sure that it actually goes way beyond what the athletes and brands are doing as well. So can you talk a little bit more about the distribution and reach that you're getting outside of those elements? Yeah,
sure. So the idea with the aligned brands coming together and that cross-pollination was also initially about, reach. So rather than being siloed and doing these efforts, like coming together to get that additional reach as well of the aligned, not just the aligned brands, but the aligned audiences. So off the back of the first one, seeing the amount of traffic so I actually thought that it was going to be about, with all the people involved in the first one, there's going to be about 1.5 million followers just, with the people involved. I think in the end, we ended up having 812,000 followers with all the different people involved. So I don't actually know the reach on what happened with I could see what ours did, and we had this new baby little Instagram, and the numbers on our humble account were incredible. So given we just started as well, so I'm not sure of everyone else's individual reach. I didn't go and get that data, and we will be doing that moving forward. But then I realized through all that, like that then drops off. And so I wanted to, in working the tourism piece into it, I wanted to direct that traffic that it can then continue on long after we've been there as well. So that's why we've built those trip pages that can be like evergreen content moving forward. Where the traffic can continue to come to. In getting to that, that's when I started thinking more seriously about the distribution focus. And we have negotiated a new deal with a digital news provider that goes across Samsung Smart TVs, Mercedes in-car entertainment, Tesla, in-flight entertainment, that we're now going to be doing an Outsiders adventure tourism segment when we have the exclusive rights for that globally now, which I am really excited about. And so we're going to build into each of these trips and residencies a specific tourism segment that then guarantees, X amount of millions. Depends on which market we assign it to, but then it's millions guaranteed eyeballs off the back of it as well, which I'm psyched about.
You should be. I think that's insane. I mean, this is I don't know, for me in my career, one of the things that I feel has been sort of, I don't know, I don't think it's necessarily a secret to my success or anything, but I feel every time I put something together, if it's a pitch deck or whatever, I want to make it so ridiculous that it's like you would feel terrible saying no to it.
Well, that's the
and if you
thing,
can
right? Make it so good that it's like a no-brainer for someone to, yeah.
right. Like, hi, I'm going to put your content and in your brand literally every corner of the globe. You cannot escape what I'm going to put out into the world.
Yeah.
You'll be, planes, trains, and automobiles. You're going to have access to this stuff. It's going to be unavoidable. And we're going to do this and this and this on behalf of your athletes and your brand. And this is how it's going to look. And it almost, I've been in those situations so many times where at the end of the deal, the marketing person looked at me and was like, I thought you were kidding. I thought if you got 20% of that, we'd be good. And the fact that you pulled this off is insane. So for you to be able to walk in and be like, we have this, and then everything else that originally was part of that pilot, the athlete following or, their channels, the brand channel, all that stuff. Now that becomes not the core, but like the gravy on top.
Things that are just bumping up, against each other. And yeah, I definitely have the same approach and mentality as you do. Like, make it so good. It's like, it would be, ridiculous of them to. And I think, to your point about people not really, having that faith in it actually getting pulled off. After that first one that we did, having the numbers, being able to send the reports after the fact, like people, it was good, because I feel like, some people may have been unsure as well. And having these conversations with a lot of the brands, like, that it's new to, that's part of why I pulled together the distribution as well, because I think our Instagram, like, it's so new, it's a little baby.
Yeah.
I don't have that to lean on going into these conversations, whereas, having this guaranteed distribution really changes the conversation too.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it such an easy, and that's the thing too. I think when we're in these partnership conversations, there's definitely there's like a safety area of like, oh, we have a bucket for that. Oh, we understand this number. We might not understand, like, content in a lot of ways. I feel like still is sort of a giant question mark of like, do we work with athletes or influencers? And it's like, you guys are missing the point here, but when you say I'm going to get guaranteed distribution of this many millions, it's like, oh, we have a metric for that we need to spend against. Like, let's go.
You're speaking the language.
Yeah. It's got to make it so much easier. I mean, to me, what's really impressive is that even with the snow one, you got some of the biggest brands in the outdoor industry to back a first time idea that, in your own words, was an experiment.
Yeah.
Huge credit to you on getting the idea off the ground. Prior to this podcast, I feel pretty confident that not many people had heard the phrase content residency before. So you brought this idea, in my mind, I think you brought this idea into the world, and then you also made it
around. I don't understand. Everyone keeps saying, oh, it's genius. I don't know. It blows my mind anytime someone says that, because I just think, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I've ripped this from anyone. I haven't. But surely it's, thinking about, surely this happens.
Yes, the idea of, getting athletes together and creating a mountain of content is something that's so well, it's been done, but but I don't think multiple brands. I think it's a solo brand thing. I don't think I've ever seen them. I've seen some collaborations, maybe two brands, but to do one of this size and scale and to sort of have it agnostic in a way.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. I'm sure somebody in our Slack channel will be like, oh, here's one.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's ain't nothing new under the sun, but
yeah, but you did it, and there's
it, which is cool.
Now it's a thing. Now it exists. There's a winter one. Now there's about to be a summer one.
I have had many people coming to me trying to understand it better. And I'm like, if this is how you do it, everyone can do it. Just
Here's the playbook.
Yeah.
It is. There is, of course, tons and tons of nuance to it, but basically find an epic location, find amazing photographer, videographer, producer, director, whatever, find amazing athletes, and then curate a location with a bunch of stuff around it so that you get a ton of incredible looking content.
Yeah.
If
you're having a good time, it's hard to take a bad, scene of that.
Yeah. And in a place like New Zealand, I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
honestly, like we were up at, there was actually no snow. That was another thing that was, there was no snow for the first 2 weeks. Yeah. So we had all of these snow-based events, and like the idea was, film in the snow, and then we had nothing. So I remember like going to some of the brands just saying, "Look, we're pivot." But that ended up being, a blessing, because then we ended up going up and doing all the like tourism stuff as well. So I just remember standing at the top of this mountain when we went and did snowmoto, and we were up there with a bunch of athletes, and they had never done this before. Have you seen snowmoto?
Yeah, they are gnarly. It's like does it have a ski in the front, and then it has like a sled track in the back, right?
Sled in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and it just looks like an epic time, and it was. And we were up, they've got private land up on the top of this mountain out the, back of Queenstown, and there's no one around. Like, there's not another site, and we were above like the cloud line, and it was a crystal clear, bluebird day, and these athletes were just like playing, like seeing everyone just have so much fun and just full send. We couldn't have anyone that was going to the Olympics because of obvious reasons, but but just, it was an amazing time. I stood there just seeing just so much joy and play, and crew of filming this all, of course, and it comes out in the content. So if you have a good time, it's going to come out. But we couldn't have planned those shots, This isn't something you can plan. I remember I actually, sorry to the crew, but like when we were talking about the briefs, I'm like, there is no brief. This is loosely the brief.
In the photography world, I think it's called spray and pray, right? You just shoot everything and then hope someone comes out.
And so, now that we've done the first one, I can, there's a bit of a framework now, but still, like, you can't plan to do that. You can put the ingredients together, but yeah.
I do feel like, although some of the stuff you can't plan for, you've controlled all the potential variables to make sure that you get something.
Like, we're still things off.
It's going to work. Yeah. It's just going to be, well, how is it going to work?
Yeah.
I'm really curious the tourism side. We've talked to a few DMOs in the past. I've worked with a few. Shout out to our friend John Paradine, but. Honestly, I'd be curious to know, what is that conversation like? Because it does seem like this has got to be a pretty considered partnership with the location as well. What do those conversations look like? And I guess more importantly, you've pulled it off in New Zealand, which feels very like friendly to tourism type stuff. Is this something that you're planning to kind of take outside of New Zealand and expand out like on a global scale? Yeah,
for sure. And that was always the plan as well. Testing it in New Zealand and then expanding over to the US. Like, we're looking at that for next year. Just get all our ducks in a row first. But we're looking at doing the same format in the US, a snow category and then mountain bike trail hike. So we're looking at either... would absolutely love to do something around, Mammoth or Jackson Hole for the snow category, and then mountain bike trail hike, looking at maybe Tahoe. So we haven't had those conversations yet. So please, anyone, if you can, watch a chat. But yeah, the conversations as far as the ones that I've had in New Zealand, like, it's definitely new, and because tourism is obviously works in a really, really different manner to action sports and, adventure stuff. Like, it's been, how do I put it? People are really excited about it, but things just move a lot slower, and that's okay. So the way I approached it was, look, this is what we're doing. Like, I'm hyper aware that it's not my backyard. And so I wanted to be really mindful and respectful of what they're doing and not be conflicting with anything, and just adding to what they're doing and getting more eyeballs on the area and the different things that can be done. So it's there's been a lot of support. We also had some funding from Film Queenstown Lakes and Film Otago to support what we were doing as well. So like government are really stoked on it. That was a huge moment for us, actually, getting that kind of recognition in that way to like help fuel us doing these things in the area. But yeah, there's definitely, and I wouldn't say just tourism, but some of the brands as well. It's definitely trying to do anything new is always going to be, a bit of work to get it. And that's why we did the first one. We just said, we're doing this thing. And then off the back of that, having shown what we did and people being able to see it, and then they get it. Mm-hmm. So there's a bit of,
it's a proof of concept, right? You've definitely proven that it works.
And so I'm just really thankful for the brands that gave me that trust to go and do that in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can only imagine that as you continue to do more and more of these content residencies, the doors will continue to open. I feel so strongly that the raising your hand for this stuff to be like, we're going to do this, we're going to pull this off, and we'll show you what we mean. Yeah. And once you can see it, then you can,
it's just easier to wrap your head around. Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like the way that you've been kind of developing it too, not just with the content residency, but also how you develop the distribution and reach on top of the athletes and brands, and how, you've opened the door for the travel booking on top of it. I mean, there's so many different sort of arms to it that could be developed even further that make it, even easier to, sell in or to make the whole thing make sense,
Yeah. Just putting the pieces together and seeing what works and doubling down on what does, and then getting rid of pretty quickly what doesn't work.
Yeah. One thing that kind of strikes me, and I'd be curious to hear your take on this, because I think, we're in the outdoor industry, we're runners and bikers and everything, but like, we are a subset of the mainstream, whatever, right? Yeah. Like people aren't necessarily going, like what percentage of people are actually going to New Zealand with their mountain bike versus just to like see how beautiful this country is and ride the gondola up instead of hiking the trail up or whatever. Yeah. And so like, do you feel like these residencies need to be sort of couched in, let's call it like adventure sports?
Yeah.
Or do you think like, we could probably do like a, I don't want to say less exciting, that's not the right way to say it, but like, here's the walking tour of, I don't know, like, I mean, that would probably open you up to more stuff, but it would not be as fun as like, let's get the rippingest mountain bikers and skiers and snowboarders all together. Like there's a balance, but I'm just curious how you feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to someone recently. I've been speaking to everyone I possibly can to get everyone's opinions and things. And I spoke to someone recently with a tourism background who, also ex-Red Bull. So he is skewed that way, but he was kind of leaning into, your niche, so that audience is smaller. Like, why don't you broaden it so that, and I don't want to. No, I just think that, that tourism's doing a great job of that already, for, making it more accessible for people to getting more people outside. And I love that a lot. Like I saw Marriott Bonvoy launch their new outdoor website, and I think I was really, really excited about that. Like I initially first thought, like this is very similar to what I'm doing. I'm like, no, it's actually not. But I then decided that this is just really affirming, like that people are getting outside more. They're able to, they want to be out in nature. And I've seen it in all the tourism reports, like the numbers growing, especially across things like cycling, with people that aren't, like yourself, that haven't been doing it for a really long time. Like people are wanting to get out there and try things. And I work with another brand, with my PR hat on. Like I also work with the Great Rides of New Zealand, and which is like the Great Walks of New Zealand, and they're adjusting their so there's 23 Great Rides of New Zealand all across the country, and there's all different levels. But what's becoming really, really popular from a tourism perspective is making shorter day rides. So you might go and get an e-bike or something, for a few hours into a section. So rather than people committing and traveling somewhere and doing an entire ride, they're doing it with all these different experiences around it. And you might be into a winery style e-bike situation, or you might be into, going doing like things that you might like going and doing. Like there's all these levels, right? But seeing more and more people get out there and do that, like tourism is already doing a really good job of that. So I think that with the residencies that we're doing, just with specifically for outsiders, I would really like to stay in that, people that are more leaning into that more, deeper adventure, like the Disney guy.
Yeah. Fair enough. Totally fair. I mean, I was doing research for one of my travel videos, and I found this stat from People for Bikes, and they were saying that people who travel specifically to ride their bike somewhere stay longer. So from the tourism side of things, working with the top level mountain bikers and skiers and snowboarders, I've got to imagine it's probably the same for some of the other adventure sports as well, where if they're going somewhere to do that sport, they're going to stay longer than if they were just going to get a bike and go on a wine tour or something like that.
Well, I don't know. They're spending a lot too.
But for a lot of the tourism, at least over here, like they're incentivized by hotel nights. And so if you can show them, hey, people stay longer when they do the activity that we're collectively promoting here.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, going back to that idea of we want to make this thing so difficult for them to say no to.
Like, the numbers don't lie on those, in those categories, and it's getting more and more. It's just, so it's really exciting for me. But we're going to be targeting with the back end of these residencies and turning it into those bookable experiences. We're going to be mainly focusing on the US market and specifically around like ski towns. So, if you're snowboarding or skiing or what have you, whether you're elite, whether you're, a beginner, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like all of those different activities, like you generally having a crack at more than one. Like you're not only doing one, like you're going and doing, you're either hiking or you're driving, whatever it is. So if we can capture that market, like that's the lane I want to be in.
It's interesting to think about how you might take the content that you get from the residency and then like double down to promote the travel side of things through, like Instagram ads or whatever else too. Like you've got all this content.
That's what we're
doing. How else might you, like you could really wring value out of it in so many different ways to really sort of push all these different elements. And you could see like 3 or 4 different business models kind of emerge from this concept.
Well, we're definitely we've decided to, with the trip pages, we're promoting them for this, like for the following 12 months off the back of the residency. So this like long tail, content then just remains there. So everyone may not see it, but as far as the targeting goes, we're then going to be running ads that turn into always on to like continually be flowing traffic through to that, which adds so much more value for tourism.
Yeah. It's just more, I mean, you got your distribution and reach, and then the follow through of like, oh yeah, also 10,000 people booked a trip to your region because of this video. Like,
and I mean, we have some affiliate programs that are being sorted out at the moment. So that will be interesting as well off the back end of it.
This is so cool. This is why I wanted to have you on the pod, because I'm just so fascinated by it.
About affiliate helped me understand it better when I went into those conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan Levitt always brings the heat when he's on the pod. I'm going to link that one in the show notes because I really felt helpful. Like I think if you listen carefully to that podcast, you can actually hear me have an epiphany in the middle of the conversation. It was so, I mean, the way that he really broke it down and sort of helped you optimize each step of the way of how to intentionally go about all this stuff. And I think, kind of what you're doing here too is like, hey, it's not enough for us to just go somewhere and film something. Like look at all the other things that we can get and build off of that and build, more value for all the people, whether it's an athlete showing up or a brand that's supporting it. I mean, the way that you kind of built it out with intention in all these different directions, I think makes it really a compelling piece to be a part of.
Oh, thank you.
So you're getting into this February one, and I've got to imagine you're still sort of looking for partners and stuff like that. What's the best way for people kind of, if they're listening to this, nodding their head, like we need to get in the door with this? Like what I'm going to put the link, if it's okay, for the New Zealand content residency thing, but is that the best way to get in touch, or is there another?
On LinkedIn, if you find me at Michelle Bates on LinkedIn, that's probably the easiest way to start, or via the website. Anyway, carrier pigeon, however you can find me. I also do a lot of business on Instagram, on my private little Instagram. I have had so many conversations via that too. So add me, say hi. It's a private account, but lots of business going on with that. I did most of the deals on WhatsApp message and Instagram DM.
Interesting.
Started on LinkedIn DMs and then very quickly moved to Instagram. Does that happen with you?
We have it happen a lot in our Slack channel. Okay. Apparently, people are doing like deals. Yeah. People are getting hired in there. People are getting sponsored in there.
Yeah.
Brands are collaborating in there. The Slack channel for Second Nature is like undefeated. And that's the stuff I know about.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's stuff that I don't know about that's happening in there.
Yeah. I
just think, this is sort of like that Slack channel to me feels like kind of the shop talk area where we're all comparing notes and it's a little bit more, what's the right word I'm looking for? Like on LinkedIn, you have like the walls are up a little bit, where you can kind of let your hair down a little bit in our Slack channel and just have a talk with somebody or DM somebody after their episode or whatever. So I've definitely seen like some cool stuff happening there.
Serious, and then it'll go.
Yeah. I have definitely had some really interesting LinkedIn conversations as well, but I feel like, Slack channel and DM. What's funny? Like Instagram DMs have been really interesting in that my experience as a content creator, my Instagram was sort of like a tertiary interest for me. Like I really focused hard on building out my YouTube and even my newsletter came next. And then I decided like, I guess I should focus a little bit on my Instagram. And I was always frustrated and confused that I wasn't getting a lot of attention from brands and conversations for sponsorship and stuff, even though I had, at the time, like 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, which in any stretch of, analytics, like that is, you've made it as a content creator.
So impressed.
You would think that people would be like, wow, people are paying attention to you. I think the average watch time on my YouTube channel right now is like 12 and a half minutes. And so I was like, this is a slam dunk for anybody who wants to be a part of what I'm doing. Yeah. People are definitely paying attention to what I have to say. And but I never spent any time on Instagram because I was like, I'm going to focus on one platform at a time. And then I started working on my Instagram numbers, and that shot up relatively fast just because I'd been making content for long enough that I sort of knew the formula, But then when I started getting even like 20,000 followers on Instagram, the DMs opened up, and I was like, wait,
about the 20,000 mark, I swear.
I think also it's socially acceptable at a brand to, even in like the office, it's socially acceptable to be on Instagram in an office and like looking through or DMing or checking on an athlete or whatever, but it's not maybe socially acceptable to be surfing YouTube. And I think that, it comes down to like, you sort of have to, like, it might be the right answer that YouTube is where it's at. I think it is. I would rather have somebody's attention for 12 minutes than 12 seconds.
It's a funny thing. I've definitely noticed it as well, though. And especially that 20K mark. It just, I don't know. Well, that's why I get worried about our Outsiders Instagram, because it was I literally have in our bio, it's new. Until we get to that, illustrious number, but I don't know what happens. But I'm definitely seeing a lot of, I don't know whether it's just the sector, because it's a lot of athlete stuff that it's transitioning to Instagram so quickly, but people are going from LinkedIn DMs very, very quickly to Instagram. And it's actually been amazing for everything, because it's, it's just a more casual setting and you can build rapport with people quicker, which I think has been great. So yeah, most of our deals went down in Instagram DMs and WhatsApp.
Okay, here's the question, because I think a lot of people working on partnerships and stuff, you just lined up some of the biggest outdoor brands, venture sports brands on the planet. How many of those brands did you have you done like previous work for or had a contact at those versus ones that you didn't, that was completely cold email?
It was all cold.
No way.
Yes way.
Serious?
Yes way. Yes.
Okay. Take us through that, because I feel like the partnership side is really, a lot of people are always asked that question. Like, how do you get in the door?
Yeah.
I've got a proposal, I've got value to offer, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Can you just like,
yeah, I mean, I cannot wipe the smile off my face, because even I'm kind of surprised that somehow was pulled off. And I think understanding, first and foremost, what problems the people you're talking to have, like trying to understand where their pain point is or their challenge, so that you can then reverse engineer your pitch essentially on the fly. That is probably my strong suit, and that has come from so many years in PR, like, you know, pitching to journalists and trying to understand very quickly like what they're interested in, what they want to know about. There's that skill. There's also understanding, having worked with so many marketers, what that side of the experiences looks like. Because we can talk about it as an example with Outdoor Brand Camp, and speaking specifically to with athletes. I have so many athletes come to me wanting to understand, you know, how to go and get, how to either improve their sponsorships or get new sponsorships, you know, their training. I mean, there's been countless numbers, like, and this is how you and I got involved with you coming down with Outdoor Brand Camp as well, to be able to provide this to the New Zealand athletes there. Mm-hmm. Because just understanding that framework of who you're speaking to, what they care about and what their problem is going to unlock your ability to provide value and position yourself in that way. So I just applied that really. And, but yeah, it was all cold, and I got a lot of no's. So being able to also be okay with rejection was probably,
yeah.
And then,
fair.
And honestly, once, I think the hardest one was getting the first one. So getting the first one, you then have leverage to then go, okay, so in the lead up to that first one, and time was, you know, getting tighter and tighter, like trying to get the first big one and then just leverage was how that went down. Honestly, I was just going hell for leather.
I'm so, yeah, this is amazing.
Like the only way is through.
Yeah. So, I mean, like to add a little bit more to what you were saying, you know, like understanding what the marketers are going through. And this is definitely something I talk about on Outdoor Brand Camp. It's like most athletes don't understand the conversation that happens inside the brand after you go up to somebody at an event and say, I want you to sponsor me. You don't know, like, what does that person do next? Guess what? It's not actually their decision. It's actually like 5 people's decision. Yeah. And so what I try to teach is sort of like, okay, here are the tools that you can develop that will aid in that conversation. And so you want to follow up with a 1-pager, and then you want to have your project pitch, or you want to have your athlete pitch deck that's ready to go. You want to have, you know, a handful of different ways to like bring value to them. And you want to make sure that your value is aligned before you even go up to them in the first place, understanding what they're actually trying to do.
Information so that you can pitch it in a way that is going to get their attention.
Yeah. Seems like you're trying to do this. I actually offer a solution to that. It feels like we could work together and conquer this together. Based on what I'm already doing.
And they're either in a position to do that, and they have the resource, because that's the other thing. You could have the best pitch in the world, but if they're tapped out on budget, or they, you know, or time, or whatever the, you know, XYZ reason, you know, those things need to marry up. And then also just luck, like right place, right time. And even the content residencies was based off that exact concept. Was, you know, I'd had outsiders for the last 2 years, and, you know, I was trying to apply working like I used to do in PR, where you're trying to, you know, do services for either retainers or projects, whatever it is. And it was really unstable. It just doesn't work that way. It didn't for us. And so I had all these amazing creatives that I was working with, photographers, filmmakers, writers, the whole gamut. And I was really wanting to try and figure out a way to create a bit of a baseline and stability for all these people, because they're having the same conversations with me as the athletes do. Like, how do they're seeing me do this work, and like, how do you approach those conversations? Because a lot of people are doing networking and things and then just kind of praying that someone thinks of you when they have a need. And like, I know it just doesn't necessarily work that way. And so being able to approach someone with something specific, that's the other thing. Like, my biggest takeaway is do something great and they will come as well. So I was like, okay, we can create this thing and we're just going to say we're doing it. Like, I was going out saying, oh, we're doing this thing. Do you want to be involved? And we're working with these athletes or whatever. Like, some of the pieces weren't there yet before I was trying to get the momentum. And we did something specific that they could decide to be on board with or not. But that came out of nowhere. We just decided to do it rather than sit around waiting for someone to knock on the door.
Yeah, that you just dropped so many golden nuggets. Anybody who's struggling with partnerships needs to rewind like 2 minutes and just re-listen to what you just said, because having a specific thing that you're already doing, not, oh, if you guys sponsored me, I could do this. No, like I'm doing this. Do you want to be a part of it?
Yeah, do you want? That's
huge.
That's honestly like keys.
Yeah,
absolutely keys.
Yeah,
and then it's like after that, other things, you're then top of mind as well. You're already having that relationship. You've also built the trust and the action that comes out of that. It's then you have that credibility with them as well, and the trust piece. So then when they're looking at other things that they need someone for, like, they know whether they like working with you and whether you can deliver. You're then a foot closer than all the other people saying, here's my portfolio or my Instagram.
Yeah. 100%. You are competing on a different level for those resources.
You're already in the like meeting room.
Yeah. And I think also, like, you take the pressure off that marketing person's shoulders, because so many people are like, well, we want to work with this athlete, but like, well, what are you going to do with them? And you're like, well, I guess we could do it. When I pitched Dylan into Red Bull, I knew what the first
into Red Bull.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I pitched him and signed him, and then he was stuck with me indefinitely. But when I did that, I had a 3-year plan for projects we were going to do, races he was going to be in, sort of like, what's the vision of this partnership for the next 3 years? And it's not even fair when you're going in like that.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is like, we like this athlete, they're great at running far. And then I come in and say, like, okay, this is the Lost Coast project where Dylan's going to race against the tides to do this 50-mile California coastal run. And it's in his backyard, basically. And here's why, and here's how we're going to film the whole thing. And this is where it's going to go and who we're going to work with. Like, it's not even fair for the people we're competing against. They're like,
I see the people that do that really well, and they really stand out against, I actually had something to do with, I won't say the brand. I helped with the trail sponsorship program for 2025, actually, for one of, the biggest running brands in the world, and having that insight over, because I'm such a trail running nerd, even though I'm a really average one. It's like my special interest. But seeing on social, like, who really gets it, and that doesn't mean that they have to be a huge social media star, but there's certain ingredients that you can spot that would be great to this. You put them within that kind of program, and
those are the people you want to bring in for the content residency.
Yes, exactly. And that
amazing. This is everything I hoped it was going to be. We usually end with this segment called BPC, which is brand product content, where we kind of share, like, it's sort of a miscellaneous thing of like something we're pumped on, whether it's a brand we've discovered or a product we're using or content we love. What do you got?
Well, I already gave away my Marriott Bonvoy outdoor one. What have we got? I do have.
We didn't
I
talk
do have a
about.
book that I can grab.
Go for it.
Now, you may not have read this one because it's for the gals. Oh,
Women Who Run with Wolves.
Women Who Run with the Wolves. Now, this has been one of my favorite books, actually, and I have been called a lone wolf like many, many times, but I think what this book actually speaks to, and everyone's going to take something different from it, but it's about that, it's about being like that wild spirit that lives within females. And there's all these beautiful, really old stories that are told throughout it that kind of from all different cultures and history that evoke that spirit of wild women. And I really love it. And I think that a lot of outdoor women would really resonate with it because that's what it's about. It's like getting outside and just being like alive.
Yes, I love it. Oh, that is a perfect BPC. You nailed it. You nailed the assignment.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got actually I have another podcast recommendation, even though we're all on a podcast right now. Mm-hmm. So there's a podcast called Dialectic, and recently he had Billy Oppenheimer on the program. I don't know if you know who Billy Oppenheimer is, but for everyone that's listening, Billy Oppenheimer is the research assistant for Ryan Holiday and Rick Rubin. Okay. So this guy is incredible. He does a newsletter called 6 on Sundays or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like I actually save until Monday morning to read it. It's like the perfect way to start my week. Yeah. But he has like all these incredible insights because his job is basically to look for clues that Ryan Holiday and Rick Rubin can use in their careers. Yeah. And he's like slowly developing his own sort of base of people that are just like this guy.
That's what we're going to put that in the notes, obviously.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put it in. So I have to give a shout out to Christian Rolfs. He's the one that teed me up on both Billy Oppenheimer and this podcast. But this is actually the first time I've had a chance to listen to Billy speak. I've only read his newsletter, and it's like my favorite newsletter.
Really?
And so then to have a podcast to go along with, to put a voice to the words is kind of cool, and just to get even more detail. And one of the things that really stood out to me, I really like. I don't know if you've read the Bhagavad Gita before, but I really enjoy reading that text. And I've always wanted to because it's always through a translation, right? It's not, it's an ancient text.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to find more translations of this, or find a book that dives into the text in it. So one of the things that's in there is you're entitled to your labor, but not entitled to the fruits of your labor. Meaning that you can do whatever you want, but you can't expect to get a result, And so that resonates a lot with me of I can never expect or demand results for the content that I put out, for example, but I can at least make the content, and nothing is getting in the way of that, and that feels like a good way to sort of live my life of another word we use autotelic. I'm doing it because this is the thing that I love to do, not that I'm trying to get
a lot lately.
A result,
focusing on the progress as that's the good thing, not the progress, the process. Sorry, yes, rather than that.
Absolutely. I think Billy's writing a book too, and it's called "The Work Is the Win" or something like that. Yeah, anyway,
definitely the same concept at the moment.
To close the loop on the Bhagavad Gita thing, he did what I've been wanting to do. He went out and got a bunch of different variations and translations of the thing to try to really truly understand it. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really curious.
Reading 8 versions of it.
I think he is. Yeah, and I don't know. No, I just wanted to I thought about it. He actually did it. Yeah, okay. But I'm really curious to see his book. But the podcast is really, really great. It's good to hear. You just get more context on people that you already respect and admire. You just get more context on that, and I truly appreciate that. So. Cool. I'm going to put it in the show notes. I'll put the newsletter and the podcast, and a big thank you to Christian for putting both those in front of me, because it's like probably one of my favorite things that I've discovered or had delivered to me. I didn't really discover it. He just handed it to me, but still.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
It counts.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I can't wait for February. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see where the content residencies go. I've got a couple other countries and locations that I'd love to recommend. And I'm sure there are more suggestions coming your way through Instagram, DM, or LinkedIn or Slack channel, whatever. So
yeah, open to ideas and pitches, and definitely keen to work with everyone. So thank you so much for having me on. It was so nice to chat, and I really, really appreciate it.